Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Music91 coming at you from, well, my basement again. Today's date is February 28th, 2009. Today I'm going to go over basic application to University of Pittsburgh. So you've taken the SATs and you're looking for a college, and the University of Pittsburgh has caught your eye. Well, let me tell you, that's a good choice, my friend. But what do you know about Pitt? Well, unless you live around here, probably nothing. So you're going to need some information. Well, how do I get this in Music91, you may be asking? Well, there's two places where I can think of you would actually get information from. One of them, the first one, may actually redirect you to the second one. But the first place you could probably find information is collegeboard.com, and I'll put a link on the bulletin or whatever on the comment thing on the side. But College Board is a great tool in my opinion, especially I think you have to use that site in order to apply for SATs anyway, so most of you, if you're watching these, probably know what I'm talking about. But you can find college information on there, favorite it, you can have stuff about it on your calendar, no admission deadlines, which Pitt doesn't really have an admissions deadline, but financial aid deadline, just tons of information, just tons. It's crazy, ridiculous. But you may look on there and it'll redirect you to the college's main site, www.pitt.edu, and that's where the real stuff's at. College Board may or may not just touch on it, but it goes into excruciating detail on their site. So you click on admissions or whatever, and it's request information. In about 3 to 5 days, you'll get one of these. Yeah, I don't know if you can read it, but University of Pittsburgh freshman prospectus. It has a picture of the Cathedral of Learning on it. These used to not be in color, but now they're in color. It looks really good. The building looks nice. But this goes through everything. Education, the schools of arts and sciences, engineering, health, which is what they're known for. They have a really good healthcare program. I'll get into those later, as extensive as I can get. Sports, blah blah blah. Within this, they'll actually have freshman application. Yeah. And you just fill that out. They ask you, Social Security, when you're applying, what's your major, just basic stuff. So you fill that out. You can fill it out, but there's two things that they need to continue with your application. And if you send these two things in, then they'll consider it done, and they'll just start working with what they have. So if you want to send in supplemental information, it's really important that you hold off on one of these two things. You hold off. Or three things that you should hold off on. 3 key things. They need the application, they need your transcript, and they need SAT scores. Those are the only 3 things they need. And if you send them these 3 things, then they'll automatically start looking at your application. And this is, it may be good for some insanely smart genius people, but bad for other people. Because you may want to send in a portfolio or essays or letters of recommendation. I know I had sent in 3 letters of recommendation and an essay. It was a page and a half long. But you definitely want to get that in first before you send those 3 in. Now, as I understand it, on College Board you can send them in to 3 different colleges, and the first 3 are free. But then after that, it costs money. So that's probably going to be the first thing that they get, and that's fine, whatever. Just make sure, and you can forward your transcript, and that's fine too. But just hold off on the application until you've mailed in everything else. Letters of recommendation, get those in as soon as possible. If you're a junior, I suggest you start those as soon as possible. Maybe as early as May or June. Even April. I've known people who started in April and sent that in just because they were paranoid about it. But get those in. You can work on your essay and send that in as soon as possible. Especially since University of Pittsburgh practices a rolling admissions policy, so there's no particular deadline, but they may run out of space. So even if you're like the best student ever, and you have like the best essay, and you have letters of recommendations from like former presidents and senators and all these other people, you may get skipped on because you applied like a month before you're trying to go to college. And like, I mean, of course, I hope not. I hope nobody waits that late. But you want to apply as early as you possibly can. And that means getting all of your ducks in a row very early. So, what I suggest, you get your letter of recommendation, or letters of recommendation, you get all of those done before your junior year's over. And then in the summer, you work on your essay, and then at the beginning of September, at the beginning of your senior year, you just mail that in, and you request your transcript to be mailed, and then it's all done. It's all done, and it's perfect. It's great. And it's organized, and you're like the first person to do it, and it's over. It's done with me. That's all you have to worry about. SAT score ranges might want to be around 15, 16. Obviously, the higher the better. But I had a 1540 and I applied. It might be a little bit too low. So around 1600 is something you might want to shoot for in the SAT range. If you're not bad at math, if you're bad at like the math section, you might want to concentrate on the math section. GPA range. I know for branches the limit is 2.8. But for Made campus, I think it's suggested to be around 3.0, 3.5. So that's definitely a must. Concentrate on that. Applying to branches. Applying to branches is actually rather easy if you've applied to Maine already. Because if you're Maine, they can send your file to the 4 branches that they have. Now, the 4 branches that they have are Titusville, which is the one that's farthest away. It's up near like Lake Erie, if you know where that is in Pennsylvania. Bradford, it's in Bradford, PA. Greensburg, which is the second closest. That's the one I'm applying to right now, actually. We can get into that later. It's in Greensburg, PA. It's in Westmoreland County. And then Johnstown. That's in Johnstown, PA. Haha, you guessed it. That's the closest one. In the application, they'll ask you, rank the branches that you want to go to from 1 to 5. And of course, Maine's going to be like your first pick. But then the branches come into play. I marked down Johnstown, and then like if you don't get into Maine, they'll automatically see if you get accepted to your second pick. I put my number 2 is Johnstown, and then when they say, oh well, you can't get into Maine, then they're just like, oh, you've been accepted to University of Pittsburgh and Johnstown, woo! So that's what happened. But you're gonna want to pick these wisely. Don't pick a branch that you'll never want to go to, because that may be your only like gripping chance at getting to Pitt, Maine. I know if you go to a branch and you take your core classes for 2 years, you can apply for transfer to Maine. That's a very important thing to remember. So don't just automatically think, oh, I didn't get to Maine, it's over now, oh, I'm gonna die. Go to a branch, take a tour, call, get some information about branches. You might find one that you're actually willing to deal with. And if Maine was your goal, then you can do your core classes at a branch campus, and in 2 years you can just transfer to Maine. No big deal. But yeah, that's just some basic information. Gather as much info as you can. You can always call the Office of Admissions down at Maine. They're kind of mean down there. My experiences with them haven't been superb, but it's whatever. They'll check and it's like, oh, you have your transcript and your SAT scores, but we're missing your application and whatever. So that's something you could do. That's basically it. If you guys want to know anything else about the application process, post a comment, drop me a line. I'm on like every day. But good luck, definitely, in all of your college application endeavors. You gotta be the #1 samurai.